Yeah, so it's a super nice phone. I'm not gonna front, like it's got a ton to offer, but I just don't like it. Look, the build design's rad. Like even if you weren't told the price, as soon as you pick it up and hold it for 5 seconds, the first thought that'll pop in your head is, Jesus Christ, this thing feels expensive. The second thought you'll have is, I sure hope I don't drop it. And you actually might if you're not using a case, because like a dildo in a porn film, it's huge and slippery. Like those stainless steel rails are a nice touch, but they're just a little too thin to get a confident grip, at least for me and my unlabored pillowy soft hands. Samsung finally frosted the glass on the back instead of opting for that vanity mirror finish again. So fingerprints aren't as bad as what we're used to, but they're still fairly noticeable compared to a lot of other frosted glass backed phones. I don't know why. Really shouldn't be a deal breaker for anyone though, because that's what cases and skins are for. Now, there's a few colors to choose from. As you can see, I was sent the Mystic Bronze color, which I think is a terrible color, but I do appreciate the attention to detail with the matching colored rings around the camera lenses. It's pretty cool. The display is once again the best of the best. It's huge at 6.9 inches, but let's just call it 7 inches, shall we? It's a QHD Super AMOLED panel. It's HDR10 Plus certified. It gets bright as hell at up to 1600 nits, which I think DisplayMate called record-breaking. Image quality is just top tier. The hole punch camera is smaller, and it offers 120 Hz refresh rate. So it's a super duper nice display. The problem is, Samsung decided to curve the edges again, so with a phone this big and all the reaching and fumbling around with one-hand operation, I've just been throat punching all sorts of random people out of frustration from all the false positive touches I've been getting. I'm just joking. I only target babies. And to add insult to injury, yes, it's capable of 120 Hz, but yet again, it's limited to Full HD or Full HD Plus, which makes no sense to me when this is Samsung's best, and there's several other phones out now from other brands that offer high refresh rates at QHD resolutions. Look, it's not the end of the world. 60 Hz is totally passable, but that's like owning a fully kitted out gaming PC and then connecting it to a 60 Hz monitor. Like, why? The in-display fingerprint reader's good. You know, it's fast and accurate enough. Could it be better? Sure. But I haven't really had any glaring issues to complain about other than the typical tech enthusiast bullshit, like always wanting everything to be better and faster. The front and bottom stereo speakers are just okay. Better than budget or mid-range phone speakers, but I don't know, man, just sounds like they're lacking in depth, if that makes sense, but they're still plenty good enough. I don't really think I need to touch on performance here. I mean, it's got a Snapdragon 865 Plus with 12 gigs of RAM, so like, I'm not gonna lie and say I've had issues, because I haven't. The S Pen's been improved with a latency reduction down to 9 milliseconds from the Note 10's 45 milliseconds, and now there's this sound the phone makes to emulate what it would sound like if you were writing on paper with a pen or pencil. Because of course. And yeah, don't worry, you can turn it off. I don't know, I don't use the S Pen, never interested me beyond using it as a remote camera shutter button, but I mean, it does what S Pens do, writes on screenshots or photos, gives you something to fidget with or piss off the people around you. It's an S Pen. And like other Galaxy devices, it's got 25-watt super fast charging and 15-watt wireless fast charging, which is good because the battery doesn't last quite as long as you might expect a 4,500 milliamp hour battery would. Like for me, it's a day and a half phone, sometimes just a day, but that's usually when I'm doing some weird shit like popping in and out of cell coverage zones while streaming music via Bluetooth and constantly taking videos and pictures all day long. Anyways, I should probably touch on the cameras before wrapping up, eh? Right, so I'm not sure if you've noticed, but this phone has a rather large camera array. Like, I know we've all coined the term camera bump, but I mean, what the hell do we call this? A brick? A slab? It's like Samsung glued a house on the back of this thing. 108 megapixel standard wide angle at 26 mils, 12 megapixel ultra wide at 13 mils, and the 12 megapixel periscope hyper zoom, whatever the hell they're calling it these days, at 120 mils. That's a whole lot of cameras, plural. Worst pictures I've ever seen. No, I'm just kidding. Look, it takes good photos, or at least it can, but it can also take fairly unimpressive shots too. For instance, on sunny days with no clouds, I found a lot of the color in a shot can get pretty stale, highlights get clipped really easily, and so skin tones look like chunks of white paper. Partly cloudy days seem to diffuse just enough light to observe those colors, skin tones, and contrast a lot better, but then on fully overcast days, there just isn't any color. Well, I mean, there is, but it's pretty bland, so playing with saturation after the fact might be something you'd want to do. Samsung seems to have fixed that weird focus hunting problem, which made it a lot easier to get a little artsy-fartsy with some foreground and background separation. And while I don't particularly use or need a periscope hyper zoom lens, I do legitimately appreciate the quality at up to 20 times. Although the best performance is at 5 and 10 times, 20 times is still actually sometimes usable and shareable. 50 times is just stupid, with images coming out looking like a mascara smear from the tears of some emo kid. Selfie cam portrait mode shots do a really good job with edge detection. Yeah, there's still some misses around my beard sometimes, but dude, probably 8 times out of 10, it gets it right. Except, like the rear cameras, highlights get blown out really easily. Look, it's not perfection, but it's pretty damn good. Nighttime shots. Okay, so because all 3 rear cameras have fairly large apertures, they actually do pretty good all on their own. So sometimes choosing the night mode looks worse than it would have otherwise. But when it is called for, it does a really good job, getting closer and closer to the Pixel phone's magical abilities. I did try using, I think, the 10 or 20 times zoom range with night mode, and I don't recommend it. Video looks great. Yes, it can do 8K video, but yuck. And I tested out that mic zoom feature for video at this hydroelectric dam I found, and it actually worked pretty well. It's really neat. Anyways, I had this stupid idea to mount the phone to the hood of my 4Runner and do a little off-roading to test the video stabilization, and holy crap am I impressed. Going over potholes, large stones, and loose rock, you can see the phone's mount I use just bouncing around like a jackhammer. But if you look at the rest of the image, it's rock solid steady. I'm sufficiently impressed. So if you're looking for a full-featured camera setup, this has it all, but I'd still like to see some work done with all that overexposure I've seen. Now, like the title says, it's a cool phone, but I don't like it, and that's largely because I'm just simply not this phone's demographic, but also because I'm just not a fan of the user experience. It's got a lot of cool features, but I don't use like 90% of them. Interesting camera array, but I'm just not as enthusiastic about it comparative to how much focus Samsung's dumped into it. The display's brilliant, but no 120 Hz at its max resolution, plus the curved edges at $1,300 US or gulp 2,250 Canadian, which is absolutely insane to me. Personally, I don't feel like it's worth it. But I think that does it for this one. I hope you liked the video. If you did, maybe show me some love with that thumbs up button. It helps with the depression. And don't forget to subscribe and click that stupid bell icon too if you haven't already. But as always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll talk to you all in the next one. Cheers.